Today, I'm here with Mike Michalowicz, the entrepreneur behind 3 multi-million-dollar companies and is the author of Profit First, The Pumpkin Plan, and what BusinessWeek deemed the entrepreneur's cult classic, The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. Mike is a former small business columnist for the Wall Street Journal and the former business makeover specialist on MSNBC. He is globally recognized as the guy who challenges outdated business beliefs and teaches us what to do about it. And in this episode, we're going to talk a ton about the Pumpkin Plan, Profit First, and how these two concepts totally transform my business and the business of many others.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show. This podcast is sponsored by Causley. Causley helps fitness businesses get new members while giving back. We've partnered with Causley to give back to kids in need with this podcast, and here's how you can get involved. Each time you review this podcast on iTunes or share the episode post on Facebook, a meal will be provided to a child in need. It's that easy. Everyday actions can make a difference. Thank you for helping us give back, and to learn more about how Causley can help you grow your business, visit Causley.com. Again, that's Causley, spelled Causley.com. What's up, everybody? Mike Arce with the GSD Show, here with Mike Michalowicz, and I can't wait for this episode, and I've been looking forward to this ever since I found out you were cool with coming on this awesome show, because you have transformed my business. So this episode is going to be epic for a couple reasons, and I can't believe I used the word epic. I don't like when people say it, but I just became that guy. But it is what it is. So this show is going to be great because the stuff that I learned from Mike and the books that he's written, and particularly one, which we're going to spend a lot of time on in this episode, really changed the way I look at not just my customers, but my vendors, my employees, and how I can really move the needle the most in my business.
I love it.
So thanks for coming.
Oh, it's a joy to be here. Thanks for letting me throw in some throwback Def Leppard.
Yeah, well, you know, here at GSD, we just really want you to be you.
Yeah,
and so you're a Def Leppard guy.
Yeah.
And he's a New Jersey guy. So this is going to be fun because you got 2 Mike New Jersey guys.
That's true.
There's only like 80,000 Mikes in New Jersey.
That's true.
Every other guy's a Mike.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with your book, Pumpkin Plan.
Yep.
First off, because I think if you tell the story how you came up with the title Pumpkin Plan, it'll tie into easily what the philosophy is.
Sure.
So let's start with that.
Sure. So I'm a business owner like yourself. I started my first business when I was 22, 23. And out of pure hustle, mostly fear, quite frankly, a fear of not making it. You get up at 5 in the morning, you work till 5 the next morning.
Right.
Hustle, hustle, hustle. But I hit a cap. I couldn't grow. And I started to make a little bit of money for the business, but wasn't taking anything home. So I met with a mentor who I met through my college. And I said, how do you grow a business? And he goes, you got to study pumpkins. And I was like, are you like snorting coke or something? Like, what's going on? Like, me, I got to study pumpkins. Like, just tell me the secret. He goes, inevitably, what we can do in our business life is replicated in nature. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of parallels between that. So he had me study pumpkin farming, and not like just ordinary pumpkin farmers like the guys for Halloween, but these guys that grow these colossal pumpkins.
Right, and that's actually what they're called. These
colossal pumpkins.
Right.
Well, they call themselves Lords of the Gourds because they're that cool. But so these guys, and everyone's seen these magazines. You see the guy with the big toothy smile, and he's leaning against the pumpkin. So I started studying these guys, how they do it. And here's what's fascinating. They know they have a method to growing colossal pumpkins organically, meaning without outside influence.
Right.
Healthily, meaning they don't need pesticides and stuff. And it grows explosively.
Right.
So what did they do? And I found there was basically 5 core things they did differently than the normal pumpkin farmer. I found this translates to business. Most entrepreneurs follow the normal path, but there's a select few that have explosive growth. They too do a couple modifications in their growth of their business, and it responds with organic, explosive, healthy growth.
So basically the way you grow colossal pumpkins is a very different strategy than the way you grow the Halloween pumpkins. And in business, too many people are running their business as if they're growing regular pumpkins.
Yes.
And there's a whole different strategy to grow colossally.
Yeah, and even though it's a whole different strategy, it's not that far off what we're doing. Most of us think we got to fix everything in our business. Nothing's working. No, it's 5%, but you got to commit to that 5% difference and stick with it.
So how do you grow a colossal pumpkin? And then we'll talk about how that transitions into business. So what are like some of the things you have to do to get a pumpkin to be colossal?
First of all, you got to pick a seed that matches your environment. So if you're an ordinary farmer, you're in the quantity game. The more seeds you can get, you just throw it over your field. Your big day's Halloween. Just grow, grow, grow. The colossal farmer, you can grow colossal pumpkins in Phoenix, where we are right now. You can grow them in New Jersey. You can grow them in northern Canada, and in parts of Mexico. Different seeds that match the climate, the soil content, and so forth. What matches the environment around you? You have to sync with that. But it does drive home the point that when you figure out the right match for what you need to grow something colossally, that there's significant value in it. That's the starting point.
Okay. So Mike Michalowicz had a large influence on my business and how I need to look at things using the pumpkin plant system. And then I even started using the Profit First system after reading his second book, Profit First. And he's actually giving something away that's really great. And it's actually Mike Michalowicz's Profit First Instant Access Assessment. And if you download this, we'll actually be able to show you how profitable you actually are. So all you have to do is go to thegsdshow.com/E059. Again, that's thegsdshow.com/E059 to get your instant access assessment to Profit First. Thanks, and back to the episode. So you need the seed. What else do you need in order to grow a colossal pumpkin?
Second step is what's called sprout analysis. So most ordinary farmers look for what's called the weak sprouts. You want weak things to grow, so you help them along. Colossal farmers look for the strongest sprouts, and this was the big lesson. A colossal farmer knows if a sprout is strong from the get-go, has the most potential to become colossal. If it's weak, it should be ignored or pulled out.
Okay, so they just get rid of all the other ones in order to keep the nutrients and all the attention to the one that clearly is going to be the winning pumpkin.
Yeah.
Okay, and normally a regular pumpkin farmer will pay more attention to the ones that are struggling and see if they can get them to grow somehow.
Exactly. They're in the quantity game. The more you can grow, the more the better. And so they just want to have that churn. And you'll see all this runs in parallel to business too.
Absolutely. Okay, so what else?
All right, so next step is the watering process. And ordinary farmers use a technique called saturation. You just hit the seeds as fast and as hard as possible. Colossal farmers, on the other hand, use a quenching process. It's a subtle but significant difference. You hit the seed with just the optimal amount of water, you let it absorb it, and you come back, let it absorb it, and you do this maybe 10 or 15 times a day. Saturation happens once. It's hard, it's intense, but it also kills a lot of the plants. When there's not a lot of them. It's too much. It can drown them. The quenching process starts facilitating this super fast growth. It's around the stage that they start doubling in size way faster than the ordinary pumpkin ever will.
Fantastic. Okay, what else? What's next?
Next is the root analysis. This is where you actually look at the underground. Ordinary farmers do not look at the root system. They look at the surface level. They look for what's called blight or signs of disease, and they'll use chemicals, and they'll just say, their leaves are rotting, throw this on, kill the pests.
Right.
The colossal farmer does care about that, but she also goes underground and looks at the root system. There's glasses for it. There's ways to test it. Roots can get this big in a colossal pumpkin, like the tubes that come out of our house for the water system. The plant at this point can put on 50 pounds a day. I mean, this is where the explosive growth
50
happens.
pounds a day?
Yeah.
Holy
That's hard to do at McDonald's. I mean, it's hard, right? 50 pounds a day. And so this needs to be protected, but it's underground, so no one looks for it except for the colossal farmers. That's the key. There's certain elements to our business that are underground we have to look for.
Okay, and then is there another step?
One last thing, it's the pruning process. Lords of the gourds, we call it killing, but the pruning process is, if you're an ordinary farmer, you basically don't prune. You want everything to grow. You're in the quantity game. You cut back weeds and stuff, that's about it. The colossal farmer will kill. What means when a colossal pumpkin starts growing, if another little pumpkin starts growing, they immediately remove it off the vine. They kill it. Because every second that distraction is allowed to grow, it's taking nutrients, water, time, attention from the colossal pumpkin.
Got it.
The irony is the ordinary farmer grows all these different pumpkins everywhere, and it stretches their resources, their nutrients, their time, and therefore prohibits colossal growth.
And no one's becoming colossal. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to break all these 5 steps down into business, because what I will say is for those of you watching, for those of you listening in, if you're like most small business owners, you are probably doing this the exact opposite way.
Yeah.
Here's the example of not only what I was doing prior to reading your book, but what I hear many small business owners doing. They have a client that's not really doing the right things. They're not being a great client. And by that, I mean, maybe they're not, if you're a fitness studio, right? They're not even coming in the amount of times you tell them to come in. And they're not doing all the things that you know they need to be doing. And you're spending all this additional time coaching them and motivating them and wanting to get them to become a perfect customer. And well, what about Jane? Oh, Jane's good.
Right.
She's a loyaler. She's not going anywhere.
She's fantastic. Let's leave her alone.
Same thing with employees.
Fatal mistake.
Right? So if you're an employee, if you have employees, you go, okay, this one's weak. She's struggling. She's not picking it up, or he's not picking it up.
Yep.
And you spend all this additional time. Well, what about Jerry? Oh, Jerry's a rock star. Yeah, we don't need to focus on Jerry. He's not going. He's a rock star.
Yeah.
And with vendors, you spend all this time with vendors wanting to get them to make their things work better or be faster in delivering stuff. And what about that vendor? All those guys are fine. We have no, right?
Sure.
So that's what we do. We spend all of our valuable time focusing on people that aren't developing themselves, that don't have the potential. And we're ignoring the rock stars that can really move the needle. Mm-hmm. So let's take it to the seed level.
Okay. So the seed, one step before, what you were talking about in the pumpkin plan is the second stage. It's differentiating the weak from the strong. The seed is what's your strength. So this is where it starts. As the founder of the business, what is your unique strength? Now the thing is, it's inevitably something that we expressed as children. Because when you were in kindergarten, first grade, if you were like me, you didn't know the social norms, so you behaved how you want to behave. But then our teachers say, you can't act like that, Mike. Don't behave this way. Fit in. And your friends like, you can't dress like that. You got to dress like us. And so we get kicked out of the peer group if we don't conform. Right. So as we get older, often conformity kicks in. Certain people embrace that uniqueness, those idiosyncrasies of themselves, and exploit that. One of my favorite stories is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had a phobia of buttons. Yeah. Definitely Google this one. Phobia of buttons. Like they literally freaked him out. And he was disciplined, and his friends made fun of him for this, but he just said, that's who I am. And he embraced that uniqueness. If you look at Apple products, and I got this cheesy case on, but this is an Apple, they're buttonless. I mean, there's one little button here. Mm-hmm. The first prototype, I presume, was, BlackBerry was the popular product.
There's like thousands of buttons.
Thousands of buttons. So the mentality of we got to be better is, add more buttons. Right. Steve Jobs sees that. It's like a scene of the Matrix.
Well, BlackBerry's had the button, the rolling ball, the scroller.
The mentality would be, let's make more. But Steve Jobs embraced his uniqueness and said, no, let's make less. And by doing that, he blended art with technology, made a whole new segment, and the company exploded to growth.
Okay.
So the question is, for folks watching, what is your uniqueness? How do you differentiate yourself? And inevitably, it happened when you were a kid. So embrace that again and have your business be an expression for it. That's the unique mojo of your business. Then it's got to meet client demand.
So now you find out what you are as the seed, right? As founder of the business. So now let's talk about clients. Let's also talk about employees.
Yep.
When you're wanting to develop colossal, or not develop, but identify and develop colossal employees, colossal members, customers of your business, colossal vendors. Talk to me about the difference with all these stages.
Okay, so the next stage is what we started talking about first, which is the strengths versus weaknesses. Remember, the pumpkin farmer, the colossal farmer looks for the strong. If you want to grow a colossal business, you must look for the strong elements. Okay. First of all, the strength we didn't talk about yet is this owner's strength. What is your true core talent? And actually, I'm writing a new book I'm dedicating to this, because once you identify that talent, it must be protected. It's the most important role of the business. Okay. So for me, maybe it's communication, public speaking, and so forth. I got to do more of that. Mm-hmm. For you, maybe it's just your enthusiasm about what you do, and you're a cheerleader for your company. Right. This team rallies around you. Then that's the stuff you need to protect and keep doing it. But then we got to look at the strengths of our employees. And like you were saying earlier, inevitably business owners focus on the weak employee. And it makes sense. Like, they're really struggling, they're not getting along. Let's help them out. And they start devoting resources, your time, other employees. The great employee's time is dedicated to helping the weak employee. And now you have the best talent, not delivering their talent, but trying to help the weak.
Right.
The key here is you've got to focus on the strong and amplify them. If you got a great account rep out there, the best one, we got to focus our attention on that account rep, him or her, and let them do more account repping and less administration. We got to remove the distractions from them, amplify them, have them set the standard. The weaker players will actually try to be motivated to come up to their level naturally, or may find a new position in the organization, or may find a position outside the organization if that's the way it's got to go. But we got to focus on the strong. But the biggest part is the strongest client. The people watching right now, you have that one client that is amazing. They pay you on time, miracle. They're fun to do business with.
They buy everything that you offer.
Yeah, and all the shit you sell, they buy it. It's insane. That's the good customer. But instead, we focus on the weak customer. That one's like, it didn't work again. I'm not going to pay the bill. I'm going to sue you if this doesn't work. I'm trying to turn it to Donald Trump there, but yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's going to work out just perfectly. So that customer is the customer we actually have to remove from our organization. The weak customers we often get distracted by, and now you as the owner are focusing your attention on there. So what does that mean? You're not doing your strengths. Right. You're not cheerleading along your company. You have your best employees focusing on the weak. And weak customers hang out with weak customers. Birds of a feather flock together. You told me a story before we started filming this. I decided to move to Arizona, and so did my whole family, because birds of a feather flock together. Your family, everyone moves. Well, so do customers. Great people hang out with great people. Unfortunately, weak customers that always complain hang out with other people that are weak and always complain. Mm-hmm. So if you serve a weak customer and cater to them, they'll tell their other weak friends saying, oh my God, this customer actually puts up with my crap.
Now, just so you guys know, when you hear this, my first initial thought before you, obviously in the book you articulate this so much more than what we're doing here in this episode, but my first initial thought was, I want to build a brand where everyone is getting great customer service. So just so you know, what this doesn't mean is you ignore all your customers that aren't colossals. You still give a standard level of great customer service, but for your colossals, the ones that can make the biggest impact, you find a way to connect with them on a deeper level. You find a way to give them a little bit extra support, maybe give them things that as a beta that nobody's gotten yet. As an elite customer, you let them get have access to certain things that they don't have access to, because you want them to feel and know they're an elite customer without fully knowing that they're separated by you.
Yeah,
it's hard to explain, but you do it so well in the book. But
yeah, no, you nailed it. I mean, one of the tricks we do is we sort our clients out on a call list, and we have 10 key clients out of our 150 clients we have now. These 10 super key clients, and what happens is when the phone rings, if it's one of the top 10 clients, you answer in the first ring. If it's anyone else, you still answer in the first ring. What happens afterwards is interesting. If you're on the phone with a secondary client, and when the top clients call, you put the secondary client on hold or say, I need to call you back. That primary client gets answered. If you're on the phone with the primary client and the phone rings, you let it go to voicemail. So you start giving better service to the better customer. And trust me,
and it's still all good service. Because no one's mad that you couldn't take their call right now. Maybe you could call them back in 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
That's
Usually
right.
if it's within a day, they're good. But
that's right. It's exceptional for the best.
Exceptional, above expected.
Great for everyone, and extraordinary, exceptional for the select few. And those select few tell everyone they know.
Because they're usually the colossal customers.
Yeah.
They're usually the ambassadors. They're almost like employees in a way, where they want to get other people on board to do things, and they want to bring other people to you. And I've noticed that. And
this should stand for good shit, dude, because you just gave me some good shit. That's good. You're right. They are ambassadors. That's the exact word.
Right. Cool. All right. So what about the next stages here? When it comes to employees, customers, all that.
Can I swear on this, by the way? I feel like
it's called Get Shit Done Show.
Okay, so I got it. Okay. Just don't say the F-bomb.
There's certain words you don't say, like don't insult, Okay,
I know you got. I know. Yeah, we're from Jersey. We both got that.
Yeah.
No one else did. All right. So the next stage is the watering process. Quenching versus saturation is the key.
Got it.
Most businesses do saturation, which means an intensive marketing campaign that can actually offend customers.
Okay.
Right? The classic, I'm going to pick on Toyota for a little bit. Toyota, I was looking to shop for a car. My daughter's going to get her first car, and we're going to get a used car. But I wanted to see, what are the good cars out there? Toyota Corolla is a good car, affordable. I looked at this green Toyota Corolla, and I'll never forget it because they have remarketed to me for the next 6 months. I hate them now. I mean, I just want to get away from them. Saturation. The subtle but important difference between saturation and quenching is where you give enough knowledge, but then you let the customer absorb. Knowledge and absorb. That was the key. And what you do is you educate the customer, you entertain the customer, you give them knowledge and support, and you make yourself available to serve them by saying, if this is not the right time, I'm going to be here for you, and you walk away. You then come back, and instead of just going, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, you're saying, I'm available for you when you're ready. I'm available for you when you're ready. It's a subtle difference, has extraordinary results. Both cases may engage customers. Mm-hmm. One may engage you out of pure frustration and be disappointed as they enter. The other one will engage you because they're wowed by the care you gave to them in the marketing process.
Right. And the way I looked at the watering process on the employee side was, I think what a lot of people do is, and what I used to do, we would just give them so much to do, so much responsibility all at once, and we basically drown them. And what we started doing was removing hats. So instead of having one person that would have like 7 hats, right? They'd be an account manager. They'd also be in charge of, answering phone calls. They'd be in charge of this and this and this. We would say, okay, let's get him specific. Like Sam's the video guy, right?
And he's nailing it.
But I wouldn't say, I never said to Sam, like, hey, Sam, I want you to do all this by tomorrow. Sam, when you usually ask me, like, hey, what's the priority on this? I say, look, work on your important project first. This is the next thing. Put that next on the list. And so now he gets to work on these projects at a time and really at the optimal level before moving on to the next thing. And he actually grows much faster than if I drowned him and said, nope, I want you to do the GSD show. I also want you to find a way to do this. I want you to find a way to do that. And that's the way I looked at it with employees on the watering side.
It's perfect interpretation. I think the normal boss, you're not normal, you're atypical, which is extraordinary. The normal boss or typical boss says, get these 5 things done, and assumes in their mind it's so easy, it should take 5 minutes. So we set this ridiculously high expectation of turnaround time, and so now the employee feels this pressure, like I gotta turn faster, so the quality of work drops, and then we're like, what, you can't do good stuff? You suck!
Right.
And so it's a total saturation. Your approach is the exact right approach, where you team up with the employee and say, here's the priorities, and what's the turnaround for this, and what kind of level of quality you're going to deliver. So now Sam is participating in the outcome, and you mutually come to an objective and an agreement, and now he can achieve those standards because he's the guy who said it.
And he really never ever misses deadlines.
That's right. That's word on the street. That's the word on the street.
That's the word. He GSD's here.
He GSD's. Yeah.
All right. So we got root analysis, and we have pruning next. So let's talk about that and how we can use that.
So root analysis is where you look underground. There is an underground vein system that feeds businesses that goes untapped, and I call it the vendor well. Here's the key. And I'll tell you, if there's anything you take from the show, write this one down. This is the killer content you've been looking for. This is how it works. Ask your best customers, those number 1 customers, what other vendors besides yourself they work with.
Yes. Okay, so I can't believe I forgot that. So just so you guys know, I read this book like 3 years ago. I bought it 10 minutes after your talk at the EO event. And I said then when he walked in, I hope you didn't think I was like bored checking my email. I was on Amazon buying your book, basically. And then the next day I had to go to a conference. So Sam, I don't know if you can see this well, but these are all the notes just from the pumpkin plan. You can see up here, pumpkin plan continued, pumpkin plan.
That's cool.
And I did this in my hotel room in Vegas. Now, normally I'd be in Vegas, not in my hotel room, going out and checking out things that people do in Vegas, but I made the mistake, not mistake, I guess, but I started reading it on the plane, and then I got to the room, and all I wanted to do was keep reading the book, right? And I finished the book that night.
Wow.
But one of the things that I found the most valuable is going after my customers and finding out who their vendors are.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's such a powerful strategy. I've used it for all my own businesses, and every time when we tap into it, it takes a little bit of time. Once you find it, stratospheric growth. So this is the key. Ask your best customers, only your best customers, what other vendors do they depend on? Now, they'll typically respond by saying, why do you care and why are you asking? And you say, if I can collaborate, if I can work collectively with your other vendors, we can collectively serve you better. Mm-hmm. So for me, I had a business in the tech space, where tech services. I asked my clients who were hedge funds, those are my best clients, I said, who else do you work with? And they said, well, we have a security company, we have a guy who makes the trading desks. I said, great, I'd love introductions to all of them so we can collaborate. And you got to get that point
Now, your
across.
best customers, or else you'll be drowned out with too many people, but your best customers, the ones you want to duplicate over and over.
And the customers love it because if I'm working with a security guy, I said, maybe I can figure out how to install our computers in a way that doesn't interfere with your security
Right.
system. Or maybe we can complement it. Maybe we can plug your security system right into your computer network. We never asked them.
Right.
He's like, this is great, so we can work together. Then step 2 is call those vendors and say, hey, I have a great client. They're also a client of yours. I'd love to learn more about you.
And you have an easy, like rapport building thing. I mean, it's an
You
icebreaker.
share a client. Yeah, you have a shared client.
Yeah. And so for you guys, fitness studio owners, all right, how does that work for you? So let's say Mike, I'm Mike too, but this Mike, for those listening and you can't see, I'm pointing to him and not myself. Mike, let's say he is one of the ideal members. He's one of my elites, my colossal pumpkin guy, right? And I go, hey, you've been awesome here. You've been coming here for a while. Let's sit down, just kind of go over your goals, see how everything's been going for you in your life. So we go through stuff and I say, hey, who else is working on you? What chiropractors you going to? What massage therapists you going to?
Bingo, yeah.
Where do you get your supplements? And so Mike says, I've been going to this chiropractor. He's been awesome. Really, why is he so awesome? That sounds like a really cool guy. Do you mind introducing me to him? I'd like to see, maybe I can tell him what you're doing here.
Yeah, and we get better treatment for you.
Better treatment for you, right?
And by doing that, you're focusing on me. But find out, Mike, do you golf or are you in other memberships? Oh, yeah, I'm an avid golfer. I'd love to learn about that place because maybe we can make a regimen that matches your golf game and we can improve your golf game.
Easy, right? So now you call up the chiropractor. Now listen to this icebreaker. Hey, is this Dr. Johnson? Yeah. Hey, Dr. Johnson, my name is Mike. I'm with Loud Rumor Fitness, right? And I actually, Mike Michalowicz is one of our members, and he was speaking very highly of you, says you've been working on him for a while and you're great. And we're putting together a pretty comprehensive workout plan for him, and I don't know how much you know about it or not, but I'm sure it may impact his back and what may need to be worked on because he was pretty sedentary before this. What do you think about just grabbing some lunch? And then I'd like to see more about what you do. He talks so highly of you. I think it'd be a good chance I can get some more of my members with you based on what he said.
It's beautiful.
Right? So now this guy's not going to say no because last thing he wants is his customer saying, hey, why didn't you take the meeting with him?
Right.
So now you have this meeting with him. So what do you do for Mike? Exactly, like how long have you been going to you? What are you noticing? Is there anything you think I shouldn't be doing? I don't want to impact any of the stuff you're doing.
Right. You let the doctor improve you. There's other vendors giving you feedback, which empowers them.
Right. And so now you are both working together on the same customer.
Yes.
Now, if he has an ideal customer for you, chances are, birds of a feather, right?
We'll flock together. Yeah.
He knows how to attract one ideal customer. He probably knows how to attract a lot of others that you don't have. And now you can say, hey, look, I want to get some more people with you. And in the meantime, if there's anybody that you think maybe their back's not doing so well, their health's not doing so well because they can't find a good fitness program, and you feel like they're a lot like Mike, I'd love to. I mean, maybe we could even do a seminar or something together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I build that. So that's where you'll get to. And often I found it comes about naturally. So the first meeting, let's just focus on the best client. Then you leave, you go back and tell a client, say, I had a great meeting with Dr. Johnson, and here's what we're doing for you. That client will talk with Dr. Johnson and say, hey, kudos to you.
Right.
So Dr. Johnson gets a pat on the back. Then you keep this rapport going, and you have that exact question, saying, hey, are there other people like this where we can collaborate together again? And now you have momentum. You've already collaborated on one client. Why not collaborate again?
Exactly.
And I'm telling you, it takes a matter of time, but inevitably Dr. Johnson will call you and say, I got someone looking for a new gym.
Right.
And you're like, I'll take them.
Or asking you to come to a seminar where you can get in front of a lot of their people.
So much you can do.
So think about if you have 150 members, maybe you have 15 colossals in there. Like people that you're like, man, these guys are awesome. I wish I could duplicate them. That could be potentially 15 introductions to chiropractors, massage therapists, nutritionists, golf clubs, martial arts. You don't know where they're going, what they're doing, but the cool thing is all you got to do is ask. And maybe out of those 15, you get 3 chiropractors, you get 4 massage therapists, you get all these people. And now you have like 15 vendors that know how to get colossals, which you want, and you connect with them, as opposed to the chiropractor that seems to only collect the regular Halloween pumpkins.
Exactly.
Which you don't want.
No, right, exactly. It's unbelievable. Now, the key is you got to stick with this program.
Right.
So I've never seen it play out the next day. But if you build these relationships, I find with companies I've done, coached through this, and for myself, around the 6-month mark, all of a sudden it seems like this miraculous wave of business comes. But no, I've been working these relationships and building them. 6 months to a year in, almost consistently, I see explosive growth. And by the way, most vendors, I shouldn't say most, some of the vendors won't go into it. Dr. Johnson may say, you know what, I got enough business, I can't work with you. And that's okay. You're not looking to get 100% hits with all these introductions. 25, 30% of the people will pick you up on this.
And still just get to know him. Even if Dr. Johnson right now is not in growth mode,
that's cool.
You never know what book he reads in 6 months.
It's true.
Or what challenge somebody gives him.
That's true.
A mentor. And all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I do only live once. Let me triple this business, right?
That's Dr. Johnson.
And then let me get in touch with Mike.
Yeah. Dr. J.
Dr. J, you never know. All right, so we got the root analysis, pruning.
So the pruning part. This is where I was going to by accident. Pruning is the idea of all these little pumpkins growing. And pumpkins can be defined in multiple ways. All these little customers that are not a good fit for you, you have to remove them because they're a distraction. But the other thing is called opportunities. So many businesses say, oh, we have an opportunity to do this. Oh, an opportunity to do that. We start planting more pumpkins and we ignore the colossal pumpkin. Diversity prohibits growth. This is the biggest thing that people need to get in their mind. You will never drive down any country road anywhere on the planet of this huge field of pumpkins, all of a sudden magically see a colossal pumpkin growing out. Right. It's restrained. It naturally does not work. Colossal growth happens through focus. So you have to have the discipline, this is the hard part, of saying no to all those wonderful opportunities. Right. Stay focused on what's working and grow that.
Got it. And guys, we talked about in a previous episode at the Pickle Factory, if you guys remember, we talked about niching. There's so many ways to niche. Obviously, you can niche in an industry, you can niche in a service that you provide, and you can niche in the type of customers that you go after. And I found that every time I niche deeper, I actually grow faster, which is really the whole concept. That's it's scary because you feel like you're turning away opportunities that can help you grow, just like chopping off those pumpkins, right? Oh, if I chop off these pumpkins, that's more pumpkins to sell. Yeah, but this pumpkin's never going to grow. You're never really going to get to where you need to get to.
The most common resistance I get is if I pick a niche, or if I pick the wrong one, the industry goes away overnight. It can collapse. And people say, what about the real estate market? It collapsed. So what I do, I'm an author, I study this. There's not in world history ever been an industry that's gone away overnight. So I studied the horse and buggy, which took about 12 years to deteriorate as the automobile came about. I looked at the typewriter, that was about a 10-year decline. I looked at the real estate market and it was a slide and it rebounded. Most industries that fade away over an extended period of time. Right. As you see that fade happening for your market that you're niching into, you can pick a new niche and go after that.
Because most people are not early adopters.
That's true.
Most people are late adopters. If you look at that whole bell curve
graph,
most people aren't going to, how long did cell phones take, right? You heard all those people talking to I don't need a cell phone. People need to get a hold of me. They'll call me. They'll leave me a message at home.
Right?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everyone's got cell phones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and it didn't happen overnight. It happened
it was
over the
about
course
4 years.
Yeah, a bunch of years. So, guys, if you haven't read the Pumpkin Plan, Sam's probably already put it on the screen a few times by now. Please make sure you pick this up because I'm telling you, you'll take as many notes as I did. And implement it, and it's great. And it's really an amazing philosophy. I'm glad I got to see you speak. You have another book that I just actually finished, an Audible, which is actually really great on Audible.
Thank you.
Some books are not great on Audible because you feel like you need to see the graphs and you need to write a lot of stuff down. This is more of like a philosophy and a concept of profit first. So in a general sense, what is profit first about?
So Profit First is a cash management system that assures profitability. Actually, I guarantee profitability for any business that follows this because we take our profit first. So every time money comes in, you immediately allocate money toward profit and you run your business off the remainder. Now, you may say, I can't do that. And I argue why you absolutely can do that.
And you give examples of how to do it and how to easily get into it with the 1% thing.
How to build to it and so forth. It is a behavioral-based system. The last part I want to talk about with Profit First is most people are told to follow accounting, read your cash flow, balance sheet, financial statements, KPIs, metrics, blah, blah, blah. We don't do that. We log into our bank account and say, what's my balance?
Right.
The key is not to change who we are. That's the mistake. Instead, look at your natural behavior and build a system around your behavior. If your behavior is to log into your bank account, we need a system that does that. Profit First is a system that works solely with your existing bank account, and you can manage your money better than that.
So for those of you guys out there that feel like, man, I really thought I should have more profit by now, or I feel like I should have more in my profit account or savings account right now, guys, the strategy's right here. It's an amazing book. And Mike's gone through a roller coaster himself, right? So the Pumpkin Plan kind of helped you get there. You learned a lot about finance management. So all of you guys, I think it's un-American to not go through a real hard time, at least once in your life, that makes you change the game a little bit, right? It's un-American. But you lost $1 million, right?
Yeah, plus,
in 2 years plus. Yeah. So what was that experience like? And what do you think was a major contributor to getting back on track?
So that sucked. That time sucked.
You losing $1 million isn't the coolest thing?
No, not the coolest thing. No, surprising. Yeah, it really sucked. So I sold. Before I became an author, I was a full-time entrepreneur. I sold 2 companies. One was a private equity deal. One was to a Fortune 500. And I thought, GSD, like that was tattooed on my head. I thought I was like, God's, I got this. I got this. So I became a total dick. I just thought I knew everything. And so I started spending like one too.
You mentioned that in this book too.
Yeah, I blew money on stupid cars, I went on a sabbatical in Hawaii, like all this crazy stuff. But just thinking that I'm just gonna keep repeating the formula, and I lost all my money in about 2 years, and not even a year. And what I realized is I had no understanding of finances. I understood that if I could sell my company, a big tranche of money would come in, but I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to make money throughout if no one invests in my business. Like day to day, I was never making money. Mm-hmm. So I reinvestigated my life and said, how do you make money? Instead of profit being an event in the future, how do I make profit a daily habit? And so what I did was I watched my own behavior, built a system for myself, started to work. I wrote an article for the Wall Street Journal. It hit. And all these people started saying, I'm trying the system, it's working. And that ultimately became a book. We believe there's over 30,000 companies now doing profit first.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's great. And there's probably a lot of people that are doing it not even knowing they're doing it because they kind of
That's true, they have their own version.
Because a lot of people are taught to do that at home. Mm-hmm. Some of these principles.
It's the envelope system.
Well, was it your mother?
Yeah, my mother, yeah.
The German one?
Yeah.
And it was liverwurst?
Yeah, oh, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my mother, she worked at a local factory in town, and she would come home and she would divide her money up into the food envelope and the mortgage and community. And what she'd do is when she went food shopping, she'd pick up the food envelope and go to the food store. And the lesson from this was whatever she had in that envelope, she worked with at the food store. Sometimes there was less, sometimes there was more, sometimes she worked overtime, sometimes she was sick. But she always worked with that envelope. So I apply that same thing to my business. Work with what's allocated for that purpose and never go beyond that.
Well, that's awesome, and I didn't think you'd be able to top the book Pumpkin Plan, and you wrote this book. So they're both really great. I think it just depends on what you really need most in the business right now. And I think both of them came at right timing for me, but they're great reads, and you did a great job. For a guy named Mike from New Jersey, you put together some really good book.
Thanks, brother. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, guys, I hope you got a lot out of this episode. If you're not following Mike already, make sure you do. I first saw him speak. Like I said, I bought his book within 10 minutes because he's an amazing speaker, provides a ton of value. So look and see where he's speaking and to see if he ever comes to a city near you, get there. And I'm sure you share stuff on social or your site, wherever you're going. And pick up these books because they're incredible. And when's your next book come out?
Next book is summer of 2018. I just got contracted by my publisher to do
you know what the title is yet?
No.
Still working on that.
Yeah, but it's about business efficiency.
Okay.
Just one quick thing. People say, what book should I read next? My book or anyone's book. And the greatest response I've ever heard, now I use it, is what's the biggest challenge you're facing now? Don't just take a book because you hear it.
Right.
What's your biggest challenge? Are you not profitable? Read Profit First. Are you not growing? Read the Pumpkin Plan. Are you facing a hiring thing? Read Top Grade.
It's like saying, what song should I download? Well, it depends. Are you putting your baby to bed or are you working out?
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you're putting your baby to bed, maybe
Metallica or Def Leppard,
is not the way to go, and you don't want to play Rockabye Baby while you're doing a heavy set.
Maybe Enter Sandman would work when you put your baby to bed.
Well, hey man, thanks so much for coming on the show. Tremendous value as I expected, and probably I should have expected more because you delivered even better. So it was great. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.